high school sports that stays with you forever. It's taking the field on a Friday night, smelling the grass of the stadium, the pop of the pads, and of course the crowd. It's the squeak of sneakers on a freshly waxed gym floor like this, and the bounce of the basketball, and the swish of the net when another three-pointer sails through. It's the slam of the body on the wrestling mat, and the slap of the referee's hand signaling a pin. And it's the sound of a tennis ball rocketing off the racket and slamming into the corner of the court for an ace. There's something about pulling on a uniform of your school colors that makes you just stand a little bit taller, pump out your chest just a little bit more, walk with a little bit more of a swagger. And at Placer, there's something about walking in the footsteps of those who went before you and following the path that they've paved. Sadly, since last year's induction ceremony, we've lost the footsteps of 4 Athletic Hall of Famers. The passing of Ola Murchison, George Goto, Jug Kovich, and Tom Berry tears at the heart of athletic excellence at Placer High School, but does not diminish their legacy. Tonight, their banners on the side of the gym are adorned with a red rose in their honor. Their memory, however, still lives on. Tonight, and it impacts the lives of the athletes that followed them. Tonight, you're going to hear of Akil Jackson, a multi-sport star like Ola Murchison, who took his skills to the next level and excelled at college. You're going to hear from John Volek, who, like George Goto, took his skills beyond high school and into the coaching ranks of college. You're going to hear from Alex Blanca, who, like Jug Kovich, fell in love with athletics at Placer High School and provided service and support for more than 30 years. And you're going to hear from one of the greatest basketball teams to ever take this particular court, the 1972 boys basketball team that was coached by the legendary Tom Berry. And you'll hear from athletes who are leaving their own footprints tonight from sports, like Placer wrestler Steve Stratton, basketball stars Krista Gannon and Jimmy Carroll, and tennis ace Whitney Webb. So let me begin by introducing our first nominee. Tonight, would you please congratulate, from the class of 1970, Steve Stratton. Steve was All-Sierra Foothill League in football in 1970. He was the Sierra Foothill League section wrestling champion in that same year. He was a Northern California State champion wrestler in 1970, and he earned a BYU scholarship for football. Steve.
Thank you. I'd like to let you know that my time at Placer High, it's very fond memories of the relationships that I learned, but more from what I learned from playing sports. Now, one of the people that had the biggest impact was Coach Flake. He was my freshman football coach, and he wanted me to wrestle, and I said, no way am I going to wrestle, you know. And he found that I did judo, which really is some of the same moves. Well, anyway, I can't remember what happened to the senior, but I was senior my freshman year, and he started teaching the wrestling moves, and I go back to the judo. That's when you could do souffles and all that. You can't do that now. I'm going to punk Gary Anderson a little bit. I'm going to take credit for how he turned out, because he was a freshman heavyweight when I was a senior, and he was the biggest puss. And so, and I knew how to toughen him up, and so I made him cry almost every day. Wouldn't you say, Gary? And so at our 40th, I was here for the 40th all reunion, Gary comes up and he's using a cane. He goes, Steve Stratton, I've been waiting to kick your butt. And I go, you're not going to kick my butt. I said, I'm a physical therapist. I know where to really make you cry now. And I'm glad he had that cane, because I wouldn't want to have to really take him on. I think he'd probably win. Probably the greatest thing about the sports is what it's done and the impact in my life. Even though, I played sports, but Coach Flake taught me how to set a goal and achieve it. And then, by hard work and being in shape, you could attain that goal. And I've used that through my life, and I think the greatest thing that I learned from sports is that, I got educated and was able to have a job that I love. I'm still working. I get to retire in 2 months. After 43 years of being a physical therapist, I was in the Army 10 years as a physical therapist, and that was a graduate from the Baylor University program, and then went back and was working. After I had my PhD, I was there as a faculty, and so that's where I live now. I stayed there in San Antonio and have enjoyed that. I was raised in Grass Valley. My dad was a California Arbitratorman, so all the coaches were waiting. I weighed 105 in kindergarten, and I was chubby, but they weighed us, and so everyone that chuckled at me at lunchtime, I ran them down and beat the crap out of them. So they called me Tank, so I could live with that. But I'm also, I think the greatest thing is that's happened in my life is my family. My wife of 45 years. I have 5 children and 22 grandchildren, and my youngest daughter and her 4 granddaughters here, and then I brought one of my second oldest grandson from my second son. And as you know, if you have grandkids old enough to have them, that's what makes worthwhile of having children. So you can get back at them by spoiling them and put them on sugar and then send them home, so that they have to deal with that. But it's nice to be back, and it brings back a lot of memories of being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to be nominated for this and have the distinction of being one of the inductees. Thank you.
Inductees, can we have you come up the stairs on this side and then exit over here? We've got trophies for you here and awards over here. 105 pounds in kindergarten. I didn't weigh 105 pounds until I was in the 8th grade. Would you please congratulate our next inductee, Akil Jackson. Accepting for Akil is his sister Natasha and his mother Emma. Akil was an all-league football, wrestling, and baseball athlete. He was offensive and defensive football MVP of the Capital Athletic League in the same year, 1989. He was an All-American football player at Sac City Junior College, and he earned a football scholarship to Arizona University. So Emma and Natasha, you're on.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First, I just want to say this is just such an honor, a privileged. We're just privileged. I'm going to let my daughter do the talking because it's a little emotional for me, but I do want to thank you. Let's see, on behalf of my family, I'd like to say thank you for honoring my brother into the induction. He has a daughter, she's 24, and then he's got 5 not grandkids, oh my God. He's 4 nephews and 1 niece. But everyone that knew Akil as a person, he was a great man. He would give you the shirt off his back. But when it came to sports, he was no joke. He used to get in trouble for not knowing what it was to practice. He was always on the know it's game time. He always did 110. So we live with his memories every day, and we always get new pictures, and we just want to say thank you on behalf of our family.
Our next inductee from the class of 1990, Krista Gannon. Krista was the leading scorer and rebounder for the Placer High 1990 state championship team. She was a Sacramento Bee All-Metro player in 1990, a two-time academic All-America at UC Santa Barbara, and she earned the award. She was awarded the Outstanding Female Scholar Athlete in the United States in 1994. Krista.
This is so fun. Thank you so much to the committee members, especially to Lindsay and Bob, and to everyone who's involved in making this night possible. This is really special. I also want to thank my family who made a real effort to be here from places as far as Idaho and Arizona. And a huge congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's such an honor to be in a class with you. I'm really excited. There's a basketball team in. I think that's awesome. And a special shout out to Akil Action Jackson, as we called him. It means a lot to me that I'm being inducted in the same class as Akil. When I showed up as a junior, Akil was the man on campus. And he had no hesitation in sharing the athletic spotlight with me, and just put his arm around me and became one of my close friends and confidants. Many of my fond memories involve watching Akil play, spending time with Akil, and so this is so meaningful, and I'm so glad I got to be with both of you and have much love for you. This award is also very meaningful to me because it honors a part of my life that I treasure the most. To this day, many years more than I'd like to admit, there's so many soul-imprinting moments in this place. And I'm excited that it's happening now, so hopefully my kids are paying attention and are old enough to remember some of the lessons that hopefully this night will teach them. When I was here for such a short time, I was only here for 2 years, but you all taught me such a valuable lesson, and that is that it doesn't matter how you start. What matters is how you finish. I didn't have the best start at Auburn. I was devastated when we moved here. I was living in Oregon at the time, which is the mecca for women's basketball, and the team had not had the best experience the past few years when I came. And then I was actually supposed to go to Del Oro High School, which had a great basketball program, but my parents decided I needed to transfer here because there was a better class of AP classes and a better education. And so I showed up. And I tried out for volleyball to try to make friends because it was a fall sport. And I was the worst volleyball player Coach Heinrich had ever seen, and she told me that. And she said, the only reason you're making the team is because you have a good attitude. And all the people at school looked at me and said, are you sure you can play basketball? We really don't believe you. No one believed it. And then in the state championship game, that didn't start out so well either. We weren't playing so well. I had a horrible second quarter, and we came back and won, which, reading the articles coming up here about our team, we had a history of starting very poorly. I'm sorry, Coach Mallory, I know we added years to your life. But we always ended really well. But what I learned is to finish strong, there were 3 important lessons that you all taught me. The first one is to be unselfish. A special shout out to the seniors I played with, Carrie Anderson, Kelly Dean, Trina Haddock, Carla Souza. They were completely unselfish. They gave up their positions. Carla moved from center to point guard to make room for me. They gave up their shots. Carrie and Trina took many fewer shots because they would pass the ball to me. They were competitors. They were ballers. But they put the team first. They gave their bodies, their positions. Carla was so injured in many games, and you had to hold her back on the sidelines because she didn't want to let her team down. My teammates taught me that great things happen when you are unselfish. I also learned that to finish strong, you have to put in the extra work. Now, I will say there are limits to extra work. We lived in a house in Newcastle way up on a hill, and the basketball court was in the driveway, and if you missed a shot, it literally went down hundreds of feet into a ravine where there were rattlesnakes. And so my dad built a court for me in the back on the dirt where I could practice. Thank you, Dad. As seniors, we used to organize extra practices on our own. We would come into the gym in the cold when there was no heat to practice our plays and to get our shots up. And we shot so often together that we could predict and tell by each other's shooting form if it was going to be long or short, or to the left or to the right. Now, extra work was fun too. Coach Mallory and Coach Mead, thank you both so much. We had amazing scouting reports. Having a former private eye as your coach, your scouting reports will rock. But their music selection for our warm-up tapes stunk. And so we made a bet that if we beat Nevada Union, we could make our own warm-up tape. And we held extra practices to make sure we were ready to go. And we won, and I apologize to all of the parents for the warm-up tape we made because I know it was highly inappropriate. So we learned that with extra work, amazing things can happen. And I hope our extra work set an example for many of you young athletes that are here tonight. You know, back when I was here, the other thing that happened, girls weren't allowed to do weightlifting classes. And thank you to the football players, Akil being one of them, would sneak me into the weight room so I could lift. I think we set a new standard and expectation for girls' sports, and a lot of you helped make that happen. And the last thing I learned, that even if you have a rough start, if you have a solid community who backs you, don't worry, you're going to be okay. I have never experienced anything in my life like the community in this town, and this night is a perfect example. The rallies in the gym to fire us up, the rivalries and excitement you all created. In fact, recently, my family and I were traveling to Tahoe so I could give a speech for work, and it was when they shut the 80 freeway down, and we were stranded up in Grass Valley. It's 11 o'clock at night, we're on the side of the road, I'm calling every hotel in Auburn, which are all full. And I'm refusing to call hotels in Grass Valley because I won't stay in Grass Valley. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. My son is hungry and tired and cold. Just call the hotel in Grass Valley. I reasoned since it wasn't too close to NU, we were fine and we could stay the night. No one believed in us that we would win the game at state except all of you. And you treated us with such love and such compassion. Denise, who was one of our boosters, who's a big booster for the school, people were coming down to that game. I heard a story tonight of a man who had a heart issue and was in the hospital, and his wife said, you just got discharged, we're going to the game no matter what. And after we won the game on the drive home, you all lined all of the overpasses on the freeways with signs to welcome us back to this town. I'll never forget the sign out front, Brea Who, 55-1. I can only hope that as my daughter and my son play sports in high school, that one day I can take those lessons you taught me and pull them through and help our community rally for them like you rallied for us. It builds your confidence. It makes you feel loved. It makes you feel capable. It makes you feel like a hero. It creates memories that stay with you for the rest of your life. Now, I now run a nonprofit for kids in the juvenile justice system, kids who have started out their lives really rough. But we build a community around them who believe in them, who love them and support them. And it's amazing what they are capable of doing. I learned the power of community here. And community is your family. I cannot thank my family enough. Back then, my biggest fan, my parents, my dad who's here, my mom, my uncle Hap, my second mom, Linda, and my sister Amanda. They were my biggest fans. To my parents, now that I'm watching my own kids play sports, I do not know how you did it. I turned to my dad once in a game my husband is now a high school basketball coach, and it was a game that went into triple overtime, and I turned to my dad and said, I can't stand this, how did you do this? He's like, I don't know, you just power through, Krista, you just power through. I also want to give a special shout out to my sixth man, my sis. I hope my kids pay really close attention to their aunt and the example that she's setting for you. It would have been really easy for her to be jealous, to be resentful. I was given a gift of height. I was blessed with it. I was fortunate. She was never resentful. She was never jealous. And she was always my biggest fan. I'm really glad that you came from Idaho tonight to be a part of the C. I really appreciate it, Pete. And a special thanks to my family who is helping me carry these lessons forward. My stepmom is here, Yvonne. My stepdad is here, John. They support me in so many ways with what I'm doing. I'm really grateful for you. And to my husband, Scott, who's just awesome, and is not the 75-year-old man you saw in the newspaper picture. And my kids, Haley and Luke. You show me every day how to be unselfish, how to put in extra work, and how to be a loving teammate. I really love both of you very much. Thank you. So Placer High School has taught me a lot about being a Hill Gal, and it has taught me that it doesn't matter how you start. What matters is how you finish. And I am so honored that you are marking a finish for me tonight with my career and providing me with this incredible induction, and such a privilege. Thank you.
Our next inductee from the class of 1993. Please congratulate Jimmy Carroll. Jimmy, that was for me, not for you. Jimmy was the Sierra Foothill League MVP in basketball 2 years in a row, 1992 and 1993. He was Sacramento Bee first team All-Metro in 1993. He is Placer High School's all-time leading scorer and rebound and assist leader. He was a collegiate and professional basketball player, Jimmy Carroll.
First, I just want to give it up to Krista Gannon. What a pro. Let's give it up for her again. Wow. Amazing. I can remember when you came here, Krista, Amanda was in my class and when we became, and so Amanda, good to see you. That you came. But just watching your team was amazing when we were kids, and it was the same year my brother had that big year, and their team was amazing. You guys, I don't know where it is now, but you should be right there, your banner, but thank you. And Akil, Emma, that's my guy. Grew up with him and miss him every day. FC, go FC. Funny how technology has changed. I took notes on my phone, so bear with me. I guess I just want to first say thank you to my teammates. Without them, of course, none of this would have been possible. So thank you to them. Next, my family, my mom, Carolyn, my dad, Joe, Carol. Yeah, Mom, good job. Way to go. Raised 5 kids, way to do it. My father, who's recently deceased, rest in peace, Joe Carroll, used to sit every day. A funny story about my dad is he never would sit with the parents in anything I ever played. Born and raised in Auburn and played every sport. There's a reason behind it, but that was his spot over there. 5 crosswords, New York Times usually, and keeping stats. So my sister Melissa, my brother Darren, and of course my cousins. Every summer, I don't know how many people know this, we got dropped off in Concord and Clayton. My cousins all went to Clayton Valley in Concord, a pretty good high school as well. I was the youngest of 11, of 5 siblings, the youngest, and then 6 cousins. So I was the youngest, and so I got beat up and shown the ways. So I just want to thank Concord and Clayton Valley as well. And lastly, as a thing, of course, I want to thank my brother, Joe Carroll. He was a MVP of the 1989-90 team. And I told this story in the newspaper, but it rings true. We had a little pre-game, a little something at the Tahoe Club earlier, and a lot of guys showed up, Ben Hard, Greg, Hoffman, Jim Hardy, and multiple others. But one of the greatest stories I think I could tell you about how I saw perseverance and what really got me believing that incredible things can happen if you put the time in and try to achieve it is my brother was a pretty good academic as well, not up to your standards, of course, Krista, but he was going to Boise State, which is a pretty big deal where you go to the colleges and you learn how to be I don't remember what I was saying, but you learn how to be, an elected representative in high school. So we met a guy named Greg Hoffman, who was the MVP of the rival league, the SFL. We played in the Capital Athletic League at that time. They became close friends. They organized workouts together, Jumpman shoes, everything. And then at the end of every workout, they'd play one-on-one together. And I can remember Joey coming home. I was in 8th grade, about to be a freshman. He was going to be a senior. He was 8th man his junior year. He played a little bit. I just remember him coming home and just getting beat every day, year after year, game after game, 50, 60, 70 times, and finally he beat him. And to see a guy persevere so much, not many people would lose that many times and keep coming back. But also, if you look at that record board, the guy's had 17 free throws attempted and made for 30 years now, so you kind of see what kind of player he was, a lot of tenacity. I just wanted to say thank you, Joe, for always being, a great big brother. And yeah, you were definitely my inspiration. And I remember going into UC Santa Barbara, I think, when you were down there too. I spent my spring breaks, my sophomore and junior year down there, and that was a blast. Thank you for that. I will move on to my coaches. First is Rich Ramirez. He was my coach in 7th and 8th grade at E.V. Kane. Great man. Next was, of course, Mr. Stryker, Doug Stryker, Doogie Stryker. We all know Mr. Stryker, great biology teacher around here, science. Sometimes some of my antics could come off as certain ways, and he always believed in me, and he always would bring me back, and I could always tell you can organically, metaphysically feel sometimes people around you, and he was one of those guys I always felt was really good to me. Thank you. Of course, Gary Merrill, got to give him love. What would we do without Merrill? And Coach Lee. Coach Lee, I don't know if you know this, but Coach Lee has been a part of my life too since about '89, even though he was at San Juan at that time. The first traveling team and the first airplane I ever actually went on was to Lubbock, Texas, with a BCI team that he coached, that he kept me on, even though I hardly got any minutes. But I still learned that, it was just cool to be on a team where I wasn't the best player and I got to see what other guys were doing to succeed. Rats. Sorry. Randy Havens, he was our assistant, competitive tenacity. Coach Witt and David Witt, I went to every camp they ever had here growing up. Dave Witt had the best form I've ever seen, and I'm a visual learner, so thank you for having great form, Dave Witt. Donovan Blythe, he was my AAU coach. Thank you. Donnie Daniels and Rick Majerus, thank you for believing me and recruiting a kid out of Auburn, Placer High. Jason Glover and Pat Foster when I went to Nevada, thank you. And I also want to say thank you to the ARD All-Stars. Now, a lot of you don't know what that is, but there's a game that still runs every Tuesday and Friday at ARD up there from 12 to 2 or whenever it is, and it's 2-11, 11 points by 2. And growing up, Jim Hardy, Ben Hard, Pete, and all these guys were in their prime, and I was just a kid, and to grow up and have these guys beat us up and see that greatness, thank you for that, Charles Jurgo, all those guys, so thanks. And second to last, I want to thank my future wife. Yes, I am engaged, finally. I'm going to be a made man. Crystal Lopez, she's sitting back there. She's the principal of American Canyon, and I strive to be as good as her every single day. And I also want to say thank you when I showed up at John Sweat when I took that teaching job, that you came and did my scorebook, right, Coach Tagney? I learned from a great guy, you get good people to do your scorebook, so thank you. Even though you were admin, you had enough moxie to come do my scorebook. And I guess lastly, Coach, this is for Coach Tagney, who really believed in me and was just a huge inspiration in my life. My first coaching job, he called me when I went to Wood Creek, and he's like, why don't you come coach these JVs? This was probably 12 years ago, and I just was kind of mulling around. And I went and did it and set me on a path, kind of. So, Coach, you've been kind of the guy that's believed in me the most as a coach in my entire career. So thank you, Coach. I really love you for that. And the last thing I'll say is just some 3 John Wooden quotes, because Coach Tagney fancied himself a John Wooden guy. And I want to say this mostly to these young, the young guys that are coming into high school right now. The first one I want to say to you is, don't mistake activity for achievement, okay? Don't mistake activity for achievement. A lot of people will do a lot of stuff, but if you're not achieving something while you have that activity, it's for naught, okay? So remember that. Practice makes perfect, right? Does practice make perfect? No, that's not. Coach, what does it mean? What does it make? Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect, and none of us are perfect. So practice makes permanent. So you must practice properly if you want to be a great player, or whatever you do, life, school, whatever it is. And the last one I'll say is, always remember this too, John, when this one, where preparation meets opportunity, okay? Opportunities are gonna come and they're gonna go. Are you prepared when your opportunity comes? Thank you very much.
Our next inductee from the class of 1998, please congratulate Brittany Webb. Brittany was a four-time Sierra Foothill League champion in tennis. She earned a tennis scholarship to UC Davis, and while there, she was a four-time California Collegiate Athletic Association champion, and she was also a Division II All-American tennis player at UC Davis. Brittany.
This is so cool. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to read my script so I don't miss anything. I'm humbled by this honor and will cherish it forever. Thank you to all who considered me for this induction. I share this award with my parents. I'm going to get emotional, sorry. Kevin and Sharon Webb and my sister Janae. They continually believed in my ability, even when I was unaware of it. They instilled a work ethic and determination in me that was cultivated by many wonderful coaches. They sacrificed their time, resources, and saw the end result rather than the temporary. Maybe they got that from being Hillmen themselves. Pain is temporary, but pride is forever, right? They enlisted what seemed like an army of people to help me be the best I could be. Eldon Rowe and Ann Holmes laid foundations for me starting when I was 6. Doug Atkinson patiently developed me as a tournament player. Patty Fendick showed me how to be more efficient in my game. Bill Miller, whom encouraged my sister a few years before me to start tennis, cultivated my mental toughness and ability to hit 100 balls in a row. Radley McCord and Randy Haven continued Mr. Miller's legacy in their own ways, making tennis fun yet serious at the same time. Bill Mays at UC Davis taught me how much fun tennis can be in a team atmosphere, and that representing a university is more than just playing a sport. All of these coaches have a few things in common. They all valued integrity, consistency, hard work, and fun, both on and off the court, and those are values I still cherish today. I may not have always appreciated tennis or the sacrifices that came from learning the sport, but I can say now that tennis has shaped the way I look at myself, any task given to me, and the mental side of playing a sport prepared me for all of life's challenges. Receiving this honor reminds me of the many years and people that helped me along the way. I'm fortunate to have the privilege of not only being an alumnus of Placer High School, but I feel a part of the great legacy that is Placer High School. This has always been a place where student athletes are nurtured and cultivated into young adults that are motivated and equipped for whatever is ahead of them. Thank you for letting me be a more permanent part of Placer's athletic legacy. Thanks.
I have to make a side note at this point. Earlier in my introduction, I talked about how important playing high school sports was and how it stays with you forever. You need to know that two of our inductees tonight, how important it was for them to come back to Placer High School. They came a long ways. Steve Stratton came from San Antonio, Texas, and Brittany Webb came from Ontario, Canada, Toronto, Canada. Our next inductee is our contributor this year. Would you please congratulate Alex Blancard? Alex was a fundraiser, a booster, and a coach at Placer High. He is the creator of the Earl Crabb Jim Pennant Project. If you take a look around and see all of these pennants, this is his project that he completed. He's an honorary member of the Block Peace Society, and he completed also a retired football helmet project in which he returned retired helmets to the players after many, many years. So, Alex, you're on.
I know I'm going to make Bill Flake happy. We got notes. In the water. Silence you just heard was for that guy that sat in that chair. This chair down here was Jug Kovich's. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. I didn't attend Placer High School. I grew up in Fremont, California. I went to a high school named Washington. And we moved up here, my wife, Kathy, and my two daughters, Stacy and Corey, who graduated in '89 and '86. I'd like to thank them for all the time they gave me to be able to do the things I had fun doing here at Placer. I do have family that came up from Fremont and the Valley, and we grew up in Fremont. We were strawberry sharecroppers. My dad was Filipino, my mom's Italian, so I'm not going to go any farther into that. But you can imagine, I had uncles that had farms down in Castroville that were, pretty involved. And being Filipino, we always had to, box and do that kind of stuff. And so he says, no, my one uncle says, you have to come down to Salinas. I'm going to show you how to box. I says, yeah. I ended up spending the summer boxing tomatoes and lettuce. So kind of get an idea where we come from. We're going to go on a journey. I'm going to try and keep it short because there's 41 years. Actually, in there somewhere, Kathy and I have been married 51. It'll be 52 years in November. And when we hit 25, my dad said, you can get less than that for murder. So another thing to think about. I'd be a free man by now. But, But no kidding. We moved here to Newcastle in 1977, about Holger Highland's house. He was going down to college. His dad wanted to move out. And so we brought his sister, Petra, had just graduated from high school. And he was long gone. And so we brought in 2 kids. And we didn't impact the community. We didn't have to build a new house or nothing like that. So that was kind of a cool deal at the time. Because, we were known for being Southern Auburn. Because I found out that a lot of guys that had taken jobs up here coaching were from Southern California. A lot of them, as you know. So, part of the journey starts back in 1897, when this was called Auburn High School. It took over the old college campus that had been closed down for years. That's why it's College Street up there. Well, in 1902, the president of the student body, in the yearbook, mentions the fact that they want to thank the school board for picking olive and orange for the school colors. And I'm looking at this thing, I'm saying, no, it's green and gold. So where'd they come up with this olive and orange deal? So I'm going all the way up. I'm going through yearbooks. I'm trying to find out when did they change this thing to green and gold? Well, 1935 rolls around. They're getting ready to open the old Placer College / Sierra College. Okay? Well, guess what their name was at that time? Their mascot at Placer Junior College was the Spartans. When they moved down to Rockland, they changed it to the Wolverines. But not only did that change, but if you look over here, you'll see what others have done, you can do. And that's Marguerite Seavey, class of '09, but she made that statement in the yearbook, and I said I had to have that year. I had to have it. So we did I made the banner to transition from the olive and orange to green and gold, because in 1935 they changed the color to green and gold. Why? Where was it voted on? So I caught a guy that graduated in '35, and get this, the cheerleaders changed it. You know? What can I say? The cheerleaders, he said, I think the cheerleaders changed it. Well, where was I on that deal anyway? All right, so we started out with the green and gold, the olive and orange banners. Okay, we got our first championships in 1903, and then we work along and we go into SFL. And when I came in to look at this gym, it's a clone of the gym that I had when I was in high school. And Cherry Tagley knows the other gym, and that'd be Jefferson High School in Daly City. We had a NorCal boys game down there back when they won a section, and I think it was in '88. But what I'm getting at is that even the color of the green was supposed to be a Kelly green. Well, Bill Flake decided when he became the wrestling coach that Kelly green was too soft, so we went to forest green. So that's where the forest green came in. So, you know, these things just happen that way, I guess. There's so many things I can tell you about what I learned along the way. In 1904, there was an article in the paper that the girls' basketball team had gone down to Sacramento, played the Dragons, and they lost. And they interviewed the coach, and the coach said, well, they cheated. And he said, what do you mean they cheated? Well, they play on a wooden platform, and we play on Mother Earth. Right out in front of the old, where the new building is. Used to be their court. But they lost the game 8-4. It was a thriller. But let me see what else we got going on here. You know, it's kind of funny how this works out. 1935, Wendell Roby made a suggestion that we needed a mascot. All these years, from 97 to 1934-35, we didn't have a mascot. We weren't called the Hillmen. But Wendell Roby came up with the idea that, you know what? Why don't we call ourselves call the school Mountain Men? Thank goodness someone said, no, I think we better go with Hillman. But one of the big things, too, was that in 1920, you see, they used to have girls' leagues actually play league games, like over in Chico Normal, Winters, Sacramento. I mean, it was a train ride to go out and play in league. 1920, the CIF came up with an idea. No more leagues for girls. Why? Well, we're concerned about the reproduction issues that can happen when girls play sports in leagues. So now you got the GAA. You can only play on campus, and that was up until Title IX. So there you go, a little history on that. Stuff you can probably win a lot of money at, I don't know. Del Oro, I hate saying that, but okay, Colfax, when they were built, their school colors, they took the green, the green went to Colfax, and the gold went to Del Oro. Okay, if you think about it. All right, let's throw in the fact that Del Oro is called the Eagles. Colfax, the Falcons. Two of the top mascot names in the country. Everybody's called that. They went from a Hillman to the most common names. I don't get that. But they're pretty successful programs. I didn't lose much sleep over it either, so don't worry about that. By the way, the great aunt, Margaret Seavey, is Jim and Mike Holmes' great aunt. So there you go. That's how long they've been changing wagon wheels and stuff around this part of the woods. So thank you for being on my journey. I know it's a short one, and who really cares? But you can figure that out. But I'll tell you one thing. It's great to be a human. Thank you.
Our next inductee from the class of 1965, John Volick. John is being inducted into what we call our Coaches Circle. He was an athlete at Placer High School in football and track from 1961 to 1965. He was a community college football coach from 1977 to 1995. He was the Sacramento State football coach from 1995 to 2003, and he was also the Sierra College athletic director from 2003 to 2011. John, you're on.
First of all, I want to thank Rad McCord, Bob Burge, Randall Fee, Mark Lee, and the committee for in calling me, inducting me. This is a dream come true to be amongst the community tonight, amongst, I think, the fourth class, in a very, very old historic high school, as you just heard the history lesson before me. And congratulations, 2018, fourth Hall of Fame class of Placer High School. I'm very honored to be with you tonight. A special thanks has to go to my mom, Zarita and Joseph Volick, and a lot of guys and people in this room know my mom and dad. We had 5 acres of pears, which is now St. Joseph's School, St. Teresa Parish. You look to the left, you see the big pecan tree. That's where the junior class, all of them, celebrated New Year's Eve at my house when I was a junior class president. We knew how to party at Placer. We cleaned up the house so well that I got in trouble because Mom and Dad knew that something happened that night that probably wasn't good. But you got to understand, I came from the Bay Area when I was 12 years old. Dick Ziegelman and I both moved to this area at the same time. And you come off, you've been in Richmond, I lived on the south side. You come out of the concrete jungle to see red dirt, put your hands in the dirt, 12 years old, go to work for Mr. Manfredini for 2 years learning how to pick pears and learning that I wasn't a very good worker and I needed to pick them a hell of a lot faster if I was going to make more than a nickel a box. So coming to Auburn was a dream come true for me. I met Vicki, my wife here. She's a Hill gal. Vicki, stand up. Vicki Merle Volick, my wife of 50 years. My daughter's here tonight. Heather, coach at St. Francis High School. Heather Brownholtz. Her husband, Scott, All-American center for me at Fresno City College. Played at the University of Georgia. Coached with me at Fresno City. Coached with me at Sac State on our 95 championship team. My grandson, Cade, plays at Jesuit. Preseason All-State first teamer in the Delta League, CIF. Max Preps, you're going to be reading about him. This dog can bite, and he can play. So, Cade. Truly one of my best friends, Scott's mom, Dale, here with us tonight. My family over there at that table. And I'm probably going to be the first guy to cry tonight at some point. When your college teammates fly in from San Diego and Riverside, California, your college teammates from 1968, best team at UC Riverside ever. Nick Goldware, my quarterback. Mike McLaughlin, my right guard. This is a surprise that I saw tonight walking in the door here. We talk about what athletics means, the family. For me, Dick Ziegelman, Kathy, Susan Cunningham, here tonight with her husband, Jeff. Larry Weber, I saw little Weber in here too. Mike, I think, somewhere. Larry and I played 4 years together here. Mike Self, a St. Joe's guy with me here tonight. Mike is here. All our years at Placer. Henry Hoyer. Where's Henry? Jim Holmes, my Mount Vernon boys back there, gigging frogs and doing a lot of other stuff we did around here. Karen Bowen Lasher, some of the sisters that my wife and I grew up with. Candy Pernew, Gary Donnell being here, Sierra College classmates. Gary Donnell's one of the greatest basketball players. Guys, I know we're good, but you guys saw him at Oakmont. I saw him at Sierra College, went on to Linfield. If the three-point shot was in, he'd be playing in the NBA. One of the greatest basketball players from here at all time, Gary and all. And Candy, woo, what a cheerleader. You guys are a great couple. Still one of my heroes, Gary. I'm probably missing some people tonight, and that was the thing that you got 5 minutes, and I have so many people in this community to thank. Two guys I've got to have stand up. Bill Flake and Ken Holback. Please stand for a minute, coaches. Stay standing, Ken, please. Please stay standing, you two. Bill, I coached for 40 years as an athletic director for 10. Those are heroes. Bill Flake's the first guy I met, history class, three-piece suit and a tie. He says, Volek, you're sitting front row. I don't even know how in the hell he knew my name, and he put me up there right away. He was also my head freshman football coach. Ken Holback came here my junior year, and I had never got to start on the varsity. He was my offensive line coach. We start in the Sierra Foothill League against Yuba. Our first game, I'll never forget it. Coach Holback tells Paul Sherbina, Volek needs to start. So I not only started at guard, I started at nose tackle, I started at middle linebacker. I played every special team that game against the Oliver brothers and the great Yuba Sierra Foothill League team. To you two, I want you to know I was a coach because of you two. I wanted to be like you. These guys not only taught me and coached me in high school. When I played for the national championship at Weber State against San Diego State, Coach Holback was there. When I coached against College of Sequoias, who was #1 in the nation, this is the truth. 11:30 at night, I get the call in Fresno. I'm the head coach at Fresno City College. Volek. Yes, sir, this is Coach Flake. I know who it is, Coach. Okay, I got one thing to tell you. Yes, we never lose to College of Sequoias. We never lose to College of Sequoias. I said, Coach, you know they're #1 in the nation. I'm trying to turn this program around. It's my first year. We're undefeated in league. We're playing them. My son's the quarterback. Think they're not after him? Took those words. We beat them 35-23, their only loss in 1988. You do what your coaches tell you. I love you two guys. I want you to know you made me and you made me here. Uncle Ralph. Didn't hear his name tonight, but I think all of us in this group know Uncle Ralph. What did I learn from him? 4 years of track. We never lost a championship. 3 bus loads of guys, and if there'd have been ladies, we'd have had 6. Uncle Ralph would have had the greatest men and women's track team if he could have. But when we showed up, 3 Placer High School full of young men, and we had 4 guys in every event. And I learned from Uncle Ralph to recruit. If you want to be a champion, you recruit every kid in the hall, you recruit every girl, you recruit every athlete you can if you want to be a good coach. Uncle Ralph is a hero to me, and I hope you hear me. I'm his captain, but these track letters, I learned how to be a winner and a champion here with Uncle Ralph. Coach Dyer, Sherbina, Moeller, Walker, these guys made me who I am. They're not here. But those are the guys that were some of the most important players to me. The last 2 I got to talk about, It's that chair right there. Jugkovich. Toby, where are you? Stand up. Where's Toby? I saw you. Stand up, please, Toby. Toby played baseball for me at the Yard. Pruitt played basketball for me. We never lost in the tournament in Sacramento. Little town Auburn goes down to the city, kicks everybody's ass. We went undefeated in baseball, right, Toby? I had 2 players, Toby, and I wanted to date Vicky Merle Volek, so I recruited her brother Jeff on the team. Toby and Jeff pitched 3 innings, and they played shortstop or catcher. But I knew I had to have those guys. You can only pitch 6 innings a week in Little League. So I made sure Toby pitched 3, Jeff pitched 3 every game, and we went undefeated. Toby, I want to thank you. And I don't know how many guys got this honor, but this is a true honor. I got to be with Jug in the final days. You took me, you let me in to be with one of my true heroes. Your dad saved me. I don't know how many guys and gals he saved at this place. But there's got to be a line someday when we're going to heaven to thank him and be with him, because I know St. Peter just passed that guy to the top for all the young men and women, boys and girls that this guy loved and took care of. And the stupid stuff we did here and how he straightened us out. And he was my role model as an administrator. I wanted to be like your dad. There are no bad kids. That's what I learned from your dad. There are no bad kids. They may have some problems, but there's some good in there somewhere, and you just got to find it as a coach. And I learned that from your dad. And another guy who walked these halls, but for Sierra College, Gary, you know this guy, Buzz Ostrom, Candy. And Coach made me a champion in football. I never got to be on a championship football till Sierra College. And Ken followed me. We went down to Hartnell and played in the Lettuce Bowl. Coach Flake. We won the Golden Valley Conference championship. Buzz and Elise followed Vicky and I forever. When Billy wasn't starting for the Titans, we'd get calls from Elise Ostrom. What is wrong with the NFL? When your kid throws for $495 one week and $429 the other week, and he's the backup, she goes, are they stupid? Now that's commitment to your student athletes. I played for Buzz 65, 66 at Sierra. And Buzz is a man of few words. I don't know, Gary, if you ever talked to him. I probably got about 100 words out of him in 2 years of being his starting center. And he called me in one day, and I thought, uh-oh. And there were some uh-ohs with Buzz Ostrom when you got that finger in your chest. He says, Volek, yes, sir, are you dating Vicky Merle? Yes, sir, I am. Sit down. Yes, sir. Look me in the eye. So I'm going to tell you this one time. Yeah, you're never going to do any better. And I said, "What, Coach?" He says, "I'm going to say it," and I said it. Take that to heart, get out of here, and don't mess that up. Vicky and I have been married for 50 years now, and she is the light of my life. And if I could, I would like to name all the teachers I can, but I can't. But I learned a great lesson here in the classroom. Classroom teachers here were awesome. They were part of this community. They embraced us. And I knew after Placer High School, and this goes back to Ken and Bill, Coach Holback and Coach Flake, I wanted to be like you. Now, Ken, you had the coolest Impala convertible, light blue, and he was hot looking too back in the days. He's still pretty dang good looking, huh, Darlene? And Coach Flake, the example of wearing a suit and a tie, sit front row, making me a great student and a heck of a player, but you two following me all the way like Buzz did, Coach Moeller did. Whenever I came back here into this community, how I was embraced. People in Auburn, this place is special. Look around. Man, this is Hoosiers at the best. Basketball team, I know you guys brought us great pride. Thank you for bringing us the women's championship, state championship. We came so close this year, Coach Lee, in basketball and football. We're right there from winning some more state championships. It's going to happen. Stay in that forward lean, Coach. Bring it home. And thank you all for honoring me with this award tonight. Thank you for all my friends that are here.
The team being honored this year is the 1972 boys basketball team. Gentlemen, if you would come up and line up in front here and face the audience for a moment. Gentlemen, in front of you, you see an empty chair. I'm sure that chair is familiar to you, belonged to Jug Kovich, and it was always located over in the corner where he sat at every home basketball game and just thrilled the officials, I'm sure, made sure that they called the game correctly. He was going to be greatly missed, and that's why we have that chair here today. I always look upon Jug as an inspiration to me. There were two men in my life who I used as a decision screen whenever I needed to make a decision. In my personal life, it was my father. Anytime I had to make a personal decision, I always said, what would Dad do? And then acted on that. Professionally, as a teacher of 39 years in the classroom, my decision screen was Jug. And any time I had to make a professional decision, it was always, what would Jug do? And that's how much he means to everybody, and I'm sure to you guys here. On behalf of the 1972 basketball team, Larry Pruitt will be accepting the honor in their stead. So Larry, come on up. The 1972 basketball team, you guys stay up here, yeah, was the #1 team in Superior, California. They were undefeated, Sierra Foothill League champions. They had a 26-3 record. That's the highest winning percentage in Placer High history. They won 4 Sierra Foothill League titles, and they had 3 Kendall Arnett titles. Larry Pruitt will accept on behalf of the team. And Larry, what I would like you to do is, if you would, introduce by name the individuals of the team that are here.
Okay, great. Right over here, first of all, on my right is Chick Walgren. Chick Walgren was one of our coaches. He was our JV coach many years ago and assistant. Right here is Holger Highland, Alton Caesar, Jimmy Hardy, Greg Lewis, Randy Chrisman, and Jerry Barker. There was a few other guys that were going to try to make it, but distance and things came up, so they were not able to make it, but we appreciate the effort. First of all, I hope we get the picture back of where that picture. If you wore those shorts, you had to be good. In that era, that's what we wore. I show pictures to my grandkids, to my kids, and they all laugh and said, "You actually wore those shorts?" Yes, we did, and we wore them very proudly. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for the nomination, and we as a group collectively really appreciate it. 46 years ago, a long time ago, 17 guys came together with a common goal, and it was to come out here, play basketball, and win the SFL. That year, there was the first year of the CIF playoffs, which was our secondary goal. We knew that coming off our junior year, which we were 20-9, won the league, that we had a good possibility of winning again. When you look at some of the games that we played, and I'm going to point out first one of them that was pretty much a classic game that we played. Where's Coach Tangney? Right there. One of the games that we played, Coach Tangney was the opposing coach. Coach Berry and Coach Tangney were very good friends. And we played a unique game at that time where Coach Tangney decided that instead of playing the normal basketball game, we were going to play a slow-down game where they weren't going to let us have the ball. They were hoping that they'd get the ball first, score, we wouldn't score, and they'd hold the ball. So it became a very, very complex type game. And I can tell you, what's that? No shot. Yeah, and there was no shot clock at that time either. So, but one of the most memorable times when that happened was as we were all standing around because nobody was doing anything, Coach Berry got up and walked out and said a few words. And I don't know if he said a couple of words to you or not, Coach Tangney, or not, but he walked out and went to the bathroom because basically nothing was happening. So he ended up coming back in, we regrouped ourselves, and luckily we ended up winning the ball game and continued on. But it was one of those games where every time we took the court, we had bullseyes on our chest because we were number one, first of all. Our goal was to stay number one, and we had a group of players, some here today, that were very interchangeable. 17 guys could have started on any team. That's the talent level that we had on that team. If one guy went down with foul troubles or got hurt, somebody else filled the spot. And it was the way we played. We played hard, we played focused, and we went right after everything. There was no three-point shot at that time, and we said the 45-second clock. So basically we went right at it. And I can tell you, the gentleman used to sit in that chair that used to sit right over there, used to sit over there, and as we came out every time, slap our hands and on we go. I don't think I can remember, and these guys said the same thing to me tonight already, I don't think I can remember a time where we went to a gymnasium where it wasn't packed. This place used to rock. People were standing in the stairwell, they were packed out here, the walls were sweating, there was people packed down here. The energy was just unbelievable. And the community loved it, and we loved it. One of the great things that we had with Coach Berry was, it was a tradition that we did here, is when we played at home, he would invite the referees to go into the locker room. He'd have donuts for them. And because back then, you weren't able to dunk in pregame. Well, so what he would do is he would take the referees in, personally take them in, get them donuts, and sit them down there while we came out and we dunked. And that's what got us going. Except for some of us. John brought up a gentleman tonight that was instrumental in all of us out here, and Uncle Ralph. Uncle Ralph used to, if you knew Uncle Ralph, he was one of the kindest souls you ever met, and he would always be out here. He was the king of the two-hand set. He could shoot a basketball, and I can't remember how old he was then, but he was fairly old. But anywhere on this court, three-point was no big deal for him. And he'd come out here, and he would shoot with us, give us a bad time, and have fun with us. But he was a guy that you always look forward to come out here. And he was very vocal in getting your confidence and wanting you to do better. And he was a great gentleman. But Uncle Ralph, we miss you, buddy. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to talk with Coach Barry before he passed. And I wasn't home at the time. My wife had gotten the phone call. And when I got home, she said, "You need to call him. He wants to talk to you." I thought, first thing I go, uh-oh, am I in trouble again for something? Because Alton was always getting me into trouble. But so I called him back, and we had a great conversation. And one of his things that he wanted to accomplish after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame was to make sure that this team got inducted into the Hall of Fame. We talked about many of the things that we went through, and it was a great call. I treasure very much that call that I had with him, because I got 2 more calls actually after that with him, and then recently after that he had passed. But I can tell you his number one passion was to this team, and he told me that this is the most talented and the best team that he had ever coached. And his goal was he wanted this team into the Hall of Fame. Are we doing that video or not of Kevin Cummings, or are we doing the, no, you don't have it? Kevin Cummings had sent me a video this morning, and I guess we're not going to be able to see it, but he's in Thailand and wanted to share his thoughts. Kevin Cummings was known as the Big Bird. In fact, we had a few character names on this team. Kevin being the Big Bird, we had Kazzy here, we had a rabbit, and we had a deacon, and we had characters that we just were interchangeable with. But the thing about it was, every one of these guys, when they walked out on this court, they gave it their all. And it was, we bled green and gold, and I can guarantee you today, all these guys still do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Alton wants to say one thing.
Hi. I'd just like to let everybody know the class of 72 actually started in 69, and our first coach was Mario Ferrani. He made basketball so fun that we all wanted to come back and play. We weren't worried about winning, we were having fun. So we came back, and then Mr. Charles Walgren had us our JV year, and that's when the work started. It was like you had to box out, belly to the baseline, foot on the baseline, and he got us ready for Tom Barry in our junior year. Thank you.
I have one other thing I almost forgot. 26-3, school record. But records are made to be broken. Coach Lee's 2015 team went 27-5. It's pretty darn good. Congratulations, Coach Lee.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you, gentlemen. Katie Chamberlain. Are your Key Club members still here? Okay. Bring them in, please. Tonight, as we wind down, I want you to know that the committee is looking forward to next year when we host our 5th annual Athletic Awards induction. We will be expanding our scholarship, and we will begin our Athletic Hall of Fame Plaza, which you can see in the poster that's in the back of the gym. Such goals as we have and putting on this ceremony, they're only possible because of the generosity of loyal Placer graduates, faculty members, administrators, parents, and friends of the school. We hope that you will continue to help us reach our goals. We also need your help in nominating athletes, coaches, contributors, and teams for the future, for 2019. Applications are available online. Our website is pretty easy to remember. It's PlacerAthleticHallOfFame.org. And could I have the Key Club members please come up to the podium here. And now to conclude our program, would you please rise and join members of the Placer Block P Club in singing the words to our alma mater. The words are on your screen there. Go ahead, ready to begin. Inductees, we would ask you to continue the tradition of signing your banners. Okay, and I have pens for you, so make sure that you find your banner, sign it, and again, thank you for being here tonight. It's been my pleasure to be your host, and in the words of Hall of Fame coach Tom Johnson, in the best of times, in the worst of times, at all times, it's great to be a Hillman. Thank you and good night.